And welcome to the We Like Softball Podcast once again. I'm one of your hosts alongside Crazy Shorts, Payton. How's it going, Crazy Shorts?
Another day, another dollar.
Dame Dollar, right? Like the basketball player for the Trailblazers, the greatest rapper around.
That's debatable.
See, that's exactly what I have to just throw is that underhand curveball at you already. Get a little softball talk going in on that.
Oh man, what a great episode this should be.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we are leaving, I think tomorrow afternoon, Wednesday afternoon, we're at least heading down for Mojo, and I'm sure that's the same thing for you. Our first game time is 9 a.m. on Thursday against a team out of Kentucky.
Yeah, we don't have our first game's not till 10:10, and we have a PA team. I can't remember their name offhand. But we're not heading out till Thursday morning.
Well, yeah, you guys have that ability to do so. I mean, we could have even done the same thing too, probably, but the amount of times that I've gone down to Columbus for any Berliner tournament whatsoever, it's always been a rush in the morning of and waking up at 4 a.m. It'll be nice to wake up at a moderate to decent time for once.
Yeah, that's drive too. Just already be there.
Yeah, exactly. A new experience.
Well, the drive is half the fun. You round up the boys. I know, like, we got 4 of us riding together, so that's already going to be a hoot.
Yeah, especially early on in the morning too. I mean, bright and early, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Everybody, it's softball Saturday, Sunday, but in this case, it's softball Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and hopefully Sunday.
Yep, that is the plan.
But without a doubt, though, like you said, a very exciting show today. Make sure to end up tuning in on the podcast platforms as well: Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, all those podcast streaming sites. Make sure to listen to this episode of the podcast coming out Wednesday morning. So right before Mojo, before you're heading down to Mojo Thursday morning, Softball World, Ohio, PA, Kentucky, wherever you may be from, you might end up getting your name mentioned on today's show, and you might not even know it, unless if you're tuning into the We Like Softball podcast today.
Oh, yeah. Like, share, watch. Anyone in the softball community, get eyes on this.
Subscribe it up.
Yep.
And also, Crazy Shorts, while we have you in the meantime, though, too, where could the fans that are getting to know you see your reels as being a pitcher? Where could they find you on social media?
Oh, you want to see the dancing demon? The main attraction would be on TikTok, Crazy Shorts 420. I'm always doing stupid stuff.
Did you end up posting that one of last weekend against the March Madness ones that were on Facebook?
Moonwalking on them.
Yep, that's the ones. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I posted and probably went viral.
Yeah, we got. I think 1,000-something views. I don't know.
Thousands more than one at the end of the day, so that doesn't matter regardless. But I mean, honestly, let's actually kind of go into that topic though too before we end up actually going into Mojo talk. How has TikTok? I mean, this is a two-way street question. Anybody that's watching, feel free to comment below. But how has TikTok kind of either developed the game of softball or kind of hurt the game of softball though too? Depends which way you want to take it, but what do you think TikTok's done for the game of softball, Crazy Shorts?
Well, just as any other internet platform, I guess, any sort of media that you can just be able to keep up with other people. It's just so easy just to upload a video and bam, someone sees it, someone that you don't see on a daily basis, especially miles away. It's just nice to be able to see some of your friends, or even not your friends, just people out there balling, or even if it's not balling. I see so many bloopers and it's hilarious. I love that too.
Yeah, and I mean, you never know though too. You could be like our one friend Cisco, and he ended up blowing up Jake at Oakwood, and that became more than TikTok viral. That became just nationally known.
Yeah, one of the funniest moments caught live, that's for sure.
3 feet stumbling backwards, and that's giving him the benefit of the doubt. It's probably another 10 steps back too. But I mean, honestly, that's personally why I am afraid to pitch, and I'd never want to pitch because pitchers are a different animal. And if you're not wearing a helmet too, crazy shorts. I know you don't do it, but I think you're crazy. No pun intended for doing that.
Well, yeah, a lot of people would consider it stupid. It's straight up dumb. But I mean, I feel like I'm pretty quick on my feet. I set up. I don't just stand there. I almost pitch to myself. I pitch to my defense, including myself. I am always prepared for that ball to come back at me. I expect it to come back at me. The more I pump fake, the more I dance, the more stupid shit that I do, I expect the ball to come back at me. And playing e-ball too, especially with the IEOs bag, once that first dingling's gone, well,
Yeah.
what else you do with that ball? You just hit it, try to keep it down and hard pretty much. A lot of times that ball comes right back at me, but I'm ready. I feel like the moment, I know it could be too late before I actually find out, but the moment I can't defend myself is probably the time I'll stop pitching or maybe stop playing in general. I'm just not a fan of the mask. I have multiple masks. I gave Jake that mask probably 2 days before he got plowed in the face.
Well, good thing you did, honestly.
I feel like I get hit more wearing a mask, and that's just me. That other people, ride and die, live by it. I get sick of getting hit in the chest or in the ribs or in the shins because my peripherals off just because of the mask or the way the sunlight shines through it. And there's certain perspectives that play a part in it all, and I just prefer not to wear one. I feel like I'm more agile, more mobile without one.
Well, even
And
to
that's just me. And plus, half my teeth are already gone, so it's like, what I got to lose? A nose? But
right.
that's just me being dumb and stubborn. I
But
just don't like it.
to even add to it more, though, too, if you look at it from a baseball perspective, I mean, the only ones on the field for a baseball field, it's the catcher wearing a mask, and they aren't fielding with the mask on. Usually they're taught to end up throwing that mask off overall. So, I mean, even with a pitcher, kind of the same aspect. But even though if that ball's coming at you 100 miles per hour off the bat, I mean, that bat speed's everything regardless. But if you can't see from side to side either, so it could be whizzing by you, and you're not going to get that helmet off in time by the time, even if you wanted to take that helmet off as a pitcher. So, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you or agreeing with you, but like I could understand why that blocks your view, though, without a doubt. Just because look at MLB catchers, they never end up catching with it on, and if they do for a pop up or wherever it may end up being at on the field, they're throwing that off because they can't see at all.
Yeah. And let me remind everyone, like I said, I'm playing in E. I'm not up there with the big dogs. Not saying that E players can't blow my face in. It's possible. Any person can do it. Man, woman, child. I mean, you hit that ball hard enough when you're ready, I think, and can hurt you pretty good.
You got
But
bruises one way or another while fielding it, and that doesn't matter. Like you said, man, woman, or child, it doesn't matter who hits it. That ball ends up taking a bad hop, or you just end up getting in front of it, and it doesn't bounce. That's gonna leave a nice gnarly mark on yourself, and you're gonna get a nice bump. And try to shake that one off. And the older you get, I know I'm even a younger buck, but the younger you get, the older you get, doesn't matter. The older you get, you can't walk it off as quick as you did 7 years ago, 6 years ago.
oh, I know that's right. The older I
Those
get, the more
Amish
I
kids
feel
come into
everything.
play.
I could jog to first and pull an ACL, pull a hamstring just jogging.
Yeah, and that's where all that youth comes from, though, from all the Amish teams, though. You end up wishing you could end up having a dynasty like the Amish teams out there just because they're 17, 16, 18, maybe if you're lucky when they're starting. I mean, speaking of Mojo, is there any upcoming Amish teams to look out for in Mojo that you ended up noticing or heard anything about possibly? Because every year it's a different type of team. Like it's not black and white that you know that it's going to be a team out of the Amish, but it's usually day of you end up seeing it. It's almost as if it's a surprise.
Oh, I've been known not to love the Amish, but them boys are ballers in any division and any sanction. For One Nation this year, I don't think an E. And for us, I don't think we have to deal with them. I don't even know if I'm sure there is one that I'm not catching, but I think all of them got bumped or they're playing up. So like D and C and etc. will have to worry about them young pups.
So you're telling me that the dynasties of years past aren't end up reforming their dynasty to end up having the what was that, United at one point, or there were so many different names too that for all the Amish teams. I forgot the purple team from years past. It was two parts of a name too, and I'm blanking on the name, but I remember them. It might have been Charm Builders. Charm Builders are the ones I'm
Oh
thinking.
yeah, Charm Builders, Hornets. I mean, Eli Rose. Oh my, you could just keep going on and going on with these boys.
It's unbelievable, and the fact, like you said, that E might end up having not a. Yeah, I'm saying it's a benefit when you don't end up having to run into those boys in a tournament whatsoever, just because the IEO also kind of goes hand in hand with the Amish. I heard that they ended up possibly moving the IEO to E, and it's only in E too that the IEO is there, but it was to end up helping out against the Amish teams. But that kind of ends up nulling and voiding that argument if there is no Amish teams this year, though, for the tournament or tournament teams throughout the year. I mean, obviously they could pop up
Well,
at any time.
to me, rules are rules. I mean, any teams in them divisions, they knew what they signed up for. So you have to adjust to whatever the rules are. If the IEO's back, then you got to work on your placement. That's all there is to that. And no matter what team you are, no matter what players you have, you all play by the same rules, and it's what team is going to adjust to them better,
Yeah,
in
and
my opinion.
it's kind of similar to like the shot clock in high school basketball, which has been a huge conversation overall. With just recently, you end up having no shot clock and you could just dribble out a ball. It's kind of the same thing with softball, though, too. With any in baseball, MLB with rule changes there too. Any sport whatsoever, like in softball, though, with the IEO, it's in your benefit at times that you end up getting that inning out and you end up being able to hit, but it's also against you, though, too, at the same time, just because that's the way it works. It's for you sometimes, and it's going to be on your side, and other times you're going to end up hating that rule. And I mean, honestly, that's the definition of sports, if you ask me. That's sports. That's sports, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just sports.
But man, the forecast for Mojo coming up. Have you
Yeah.
ended up seeing like it's seeing Cleveland weather-wise so far? It being 2+ hours away from Columbus, I'm seeing a noticeable difference in weather, at least in temperature for the most part. But regardless, though, we were saying way back during one of the scrimmages we were playing in together or whatever, that we were hoping that it wouldn't be a rainy Mojo and we'd rather have a snowy one. And I was kind of questioning it. But honestly, though, rain and 70 degrees, not against the 70 degrees part, but if it's going to be a cold rain, I'm not going to be too excited about that weather.
It'll be cold rain. Depends on what time you play. If it's in that morning, it's going to be cold. If it's at night, it's going to be cold. The only time it'll be fairly decent is midday, and that's only so great because you're wet, you know.
Right.
So it's a huge factor of uh, finding them dry spots throughout breaks and staying in the cars and watching games.
From the
It's going
car.
to be tough for them. Yeah, it's going to be tough for a lot of people. For any fans that are there or anyone you brought along, it's
Right.
going to be very debatable if you want to get out there and support your fellow player.
Right. And I mean, honestly, you're right though. Like that, and that's the same thing with play though too. Is that honestly, even with the play of softball, you in the field, even though it's turf and that's supposed to drain rather quickly. There's going to be mud spots out in the outfields too, or are going to be slipping and sliding out in the outfield too, more so than you'd want to, at least say that much. And that weather, like the thing is it just seems inconsistent. Like at times it's like, okay, well maybe it's missing the majority of the day in Columbus for Thursday, and it doesn't start until like the evening time. And then Friday it's all throughout the morning, and then Friday evening, and it's like hit or miss on some days. But regardless, though, cold rain in the morning, And otherwise you end up getting what, a humid, wet rain if it's during the afternoon on, let's say, Thursday. And that's about it, though, honestly. That's about the only warm time you're going to end up having. And then it's back down to the 50s and 60s and lower 40s. And looking like any other Mojo, especially last year, with 40-degree temperatures once again. Love that.
Yeah, it's the Mojo, baby. That's what it is. We all know what we signed up for. We just all been cooped up all winter long. We're so sick of indoor. For those of us that do even tolerate indoor, since I work a regular time job, indoor is not for me anymore. I got to be at work at 6 a.m. So them staying up till 6 a.m. on the weekends, that is tough for me. So I had to cut a lot of that out. I maybe played one indoor all year long,
That's
or all winter long. And a lot of us are just ready to swing a bat and hit a ball outdoors, track a ball down outdoors, no nets, back to normal.
And like Louis Thompson ended up saying, at least it won't be as cold as it was last year, though. Last year was absolutely miserable, though, without a doubt. I mean, you had snow on Saturday. Thursday, I think it was like kind of like a crisp breeze, like 50 degrees or so. And then Friday, it just started going downhill more and more. And man, last year compared to this year, there's kind of part of me like Crazy Shorts. I think he'd agree, though, too. I'd rather end up having the colder weather last year just because it was snow. It wasn't necessarily rain. But if the wind is an element, I'm not happy with the wind either.
Right. And it's always a little windy right there off the highway.
Oh, yeah.
I am not a fan of the rain. I hate being wet. It makes everything terrible. Makes just the fielding terrible, even the hitting terrible. Your bat's wet, the ball's wet, Hopefully pitcher's got a good grip on it. It changes so many factors to the game.
Yeah, especially if you end up having to win, though, too, and you end up having a crazy win. I remember playing in a tournament last year in July or so, and that was a monsoon, I think, at Nike Park. And that ball was just moving on its own just because it was that windy. You could throw it straight, and it's going to end up being on the opposite end of the batter's box just because it's that windy. And KJ ended up saying that there's snow reported on Sunday, too, this year. So what a way to end up getting to Championship Sunday if you end up getting there. You get treated to snow. So if you end up getting to Championship Sunday, good luck. Congrats when you make it there, but stay warm.
Yeah, bring multiple changes of clothes.
Oh, no, KJ was talking about last year, though. He was falsely reporting that. There was snow on Saturday, though, too, man. Saturday made it all the worse, though, and then Sunday just kind of carried into it, though.
This year I've seen just rain all weekend long. Every day, rain.
Except for Sunday, I think. I think Sunday, the last I saw, was at least no rain.
I just expect it.
It's better off that way. Expect the expected, which is rain in Ohio. But regardless, just prepare for rain and wear layers. That's the worst part, too, is I feel like, let's get into that topic, though, with regarding Mojo, with regarding softball and the colder starts and not indoor. I mean, we were talking about it enough times in the past with playing in colder weather to at least play outside. Do multiple layers and like playing throughout those elements, does that make the game much more difficult? And like, do you think that's ever in favor of one team that's been around compared to a team that's still newly equated with each other? Do you think like just with like the cold weather, getting to know each other and wearing multiple layers and 30-degree weather, obviously it's a quick way to get to know somebody when you're huddling around everybody.
Layers suck, that's for sure, but being cold sucks even more. But I mean, last 2 weeks ago at March Madness, I think I had 7 layers on. I was freezing, and I wasn't playing in the beginning. I didn't play till later on in the day. I was just coaching, and I wish I was running around playing at that time because I was freezing, and everybody was bundled up, and you could just tell that. I mean, it was like pretty much everyone's first tournament of the year, so everyone's rusty as it is, but having all those layers on and just constricting you can't bend over at balls as like you normally would, and swinging the bat is just don't feel right because all the layers on it. In the outfield, I mean, I know it slows you down,
Right. It's
extra
like
30 pounds of clothes definitely slows you down.
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too, is that like for people like me, that's not too fast to begin with. You're not getting any quicker when you wear multiple layers. And even like in the elements of rain, though, too, do you end up having to want to wear multiple layers, or would you rather just wear hooded like clothing instead and less layers because it's going to be nicer out? But at the same time, I mean, when you're wet, you're going to get cold quicker. So obviously, the layers is the smarter approach.
Yeah, I'm a freeze baby, so like I said, I have to layer up. It's not even a debate or an option for me. I do not like being cold.
I mean, at least being from Ohio, that's where you end up getting from is the fact that it's so cold that you get used to it, and nobody likes being cold regardless. That's
Yeah.
the bottom line. But well, we end up talking about our Mojo show. It's this Thursday ends up starting. I think the first start time is 9 a.m. for everybody. I don't think anybody has an 8 a.m. start this year, which is kind of surprising because I think in years past it was always an 8 a.m. start for everybody
Well,
at
it's
least the
usually
majority
never.
of the time. I didn't see an 8 a.m. start at all in the bracket. And
It's
I
usually
mean,
not on a Thursday either, though.
what's that?
It's usually not on doesn't start on a Thursday though either.
Well, for at least the last couple of years, for me playing softball with Mojo, I think the last 2 years or so, it started on a Thursday. And like last year, that was kind of the format I wanted to get into is that the first year I was playing in 2021, you had the option, or you had not the option, but you had the ability to be out in all one day. You ended up playing your 3-game guarantee and you were done for the day. And then last year, I think it ended up being spread out that we played Thursday, Friday, Saturday was the consolation bracket after going 0-2 the first 2 days. And then the consolation bracket took you until Saturday, which was usually throughout those 4 days, 2 years beforehand, you were done on Thursday. Possibly, if you were 0-3, you were 0-3. But they spread it out last year, though it seemed. And is that kind of something that you liked, or you ended up seeing that you could see in the future more so often? Because I mean, it's happening again this year as well. The 3 days, or at least the 2 days, separated with the consolation bracket and the single elimination tournament on Friday for E.
It should definitely be spread out, that's for sure. Especially like being an out of state team coming here and just things didn't go your way. You go 0-3 on the first day and you're done. All that money on hotels and travel and all that just for one day. I mean, I like that they spread it out a little more. It gives, especially for the consolation bracket. I mean, it's nothing to brag about, but it's something to do. And I mean, you can still win it. And there is an award for it. I don't know what it is. I don't know that off the top of my head right now, but at least you still get to play.
You're getting your money's worth pretty much without saying it.
Because I mean, it keeps you there too. So you could still hang out with your friends. I mean, usually when you lose, you just want to go home. Your hopes and dreams were shattered, of your ring run. So you're just like, I don't want to watch this anymore. I'm going home. I could do something else. But that way, even if you go 0-2, they make you come the next day. It keeps you there, keeps you involved.
And plus, I mean, honestly, it seems like Mojo, at least the last year, it seemed 100% like more so the gear towards it. The year before that, though, the one and done in one day, that was obviously frustrating for any team that went 0-3 in state of Ohio or out of state. But I mean, honestly, it seems that Mojo, obviously, it's the kickoff to the season, the kickoff to the softball season. Honestly, it's a time to end up just getting bonding with your teammates and just kind of hanging out and watching other friends as well, though, too. Isn't that kind of the purpose of Mojo, you'd say? I mean, Crazy Shorts, you've been around long enough to end up playing in enough of these tournaments that you have a better idea more so than my 3 years or going into my 3 years playing.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. It's electrifying. There's just so much softball going on at one time. It's just insane. Like it's just
And you
day.
see all these crazy walk-offs too, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm just so excited. I'm looking so forward to it. I cannot wait.
I mean, honestly, I think that's kind of what ended up having the most amount of joy for me in the future with softball and kind of like sticking around to it too was when I was clueless and first getting into softball. I wasn't too familiar with conference games, but I mean, after seeing enough of those games and the fantastic athleticism you end up getting out of these conference players, and also your C players and your D players, there's so much more to softball. And like you said, there's softball everywhere that you end up having so much softball on your palate that you could never get enough still. It's like a softball buffet, so to speak.
And I think it's just because everyone has the itch so bad from sitting all winter long and just thinking about, we just been waiting so long for Mojo. It kills most of us. We just been thinking about, like, I can't wait to ball out with the boys, and you have all these plans and all this, sometime, and a lot of times you got plans outside of softball, whether it's to, hang out at your, if people got a B&B, or if you're meeting up at the hotel, or whatever it is. It's just, I love it. It's one of my favorite times of year.
Louis ended up commenting, "Somebody pick him up, LOL." So that might be a message to you, Crazy Shorts.
Available free agent, Louis Thompson III.
There you go. And then Joshua Johnson, shout out to him. It's been a minute, but he said Mojo.
Rowdy Trout.
Trout. Man, I haven't seen Trout in a while. Speaking of Trout, the WBC, I think I didn't know that was his doppelganger, though. It was Josh Johnson, Trout. That's the best I've seen them both play in quite a long time. But I guess going into Mojo talk, and KJ is going to be joining us here shortly to end up talking a little bit about D. And I guess he's talking about the D and LD, and also the D division as well. But for E, what are some teams that you're kind of on the lookout for right now, Crazy Shorts?
Oh, man. I took a little glance at the Mojo list, and there are, for me, a few familiar faces. Here's a couple. I have a little list here. I'll name off a couple teams that I think are going to do something. I don't see them going 0-3. We got Headhunters.
Yep.
They did extremely well at March Madness. I believe they did well in Tennessee. They already played a couple times this year, so they are already gelling. They have some pretty good talent.
I think they were Final Four at March Madness too, or something along the lines of that. They made it to Sunday, though. I know Headhunters did.
Yep. I think's ugly. I'm not like, and I don't know anyone's rosters. I didn't roster check people's teams and all this. I'm just going by familiar teams and a couple additions that I know through Facebook and through people and through the grapevine and etc. So this is just a couple of teams, and most of them are all local or Ohio. I have maybe two out of state. Y'all could hate on me, whatever. I think ugly. Cleveland Knights in the cut. And the cut was also a hot one, I believe, in March Madness. I think they made it to Sunday as well, if I'm not mistaken. White Crown, Nova, I believe they did extremely. I think White Crown won it, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure if they did or not, though, but I remember Nova was a big team that ended up starting in there, and they ended up, I think, making it in the losers bracket. A little unexpected early on, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm not sure what their finish was. I just knew that they made a little bit of noise, and that's a team to look out for. Of course, we got the Cardiac Kids, and of course, we got the Wahoos.
Yep, shout out to them guys.
Shout out to them guys. We got Soft Serves, Hoodstar. Hoodstar is always, seems like year in, year out, they're always doing something good. A team that if I'm not mistaken, is usually pretty tough, and that's New York Savages. I don't know if this is the same team that I'm remembering, but if it is, that is the team to look out for. And I noticed that there was a Murder Mitten team on there, Trust/Murder Mitten. I'm sure they're coming ready to play too, based out of Michigan.
Yeah, and also, I guess to add to it too, I ended up seeing out of the bracket, Michigan, another Michigan team, Michigan Havoc is coming to the Mojo too as well. And I want to say in Michigan, whatever their sanction is, it's NSA, maybe one of the NSA leagues when they play in their silver and their bronze and all those brackets. I ended up seeing one of those teams when I took a trip up to Michigan to play some softball before. And Michigan Havoc, at least when I saw them last time, if it's any situation similar to the one that plays NSA, if they're playing One Nation, I think they're going to be a good threat when it comes to the Mojo, too. Somebody I think you could end up looking out for just because they're coming from Michigan. They got a trip, too. All these out-of-state teams, they're good, but I also know at the same time that, no offense to them, though, it seems like Ohio competition, I'm not going to say reigns supreme, but it's definitely Ohio competition. We'll see who ends up having the better performance this upcoming weekend, whether it's the Ohio teams or your New Yorks or your West Virginias or your PAs or your Michigans. But honestly, I think right now, as it stands, what I'd say is Ohio. I think I could see plenty of Ohio teams into Sunday in the E division.
Yeah, I definitely see that as well. But then again, everyone is coming to play, especially out of state teams, man. That they already got a little chip on their shoulder coming in this thing because they've already put a little bit more than what we have into it financially.
Right.
You know what I mean? Having to come farther away and just the travel cost alone from going out of state. We all know how that is when we go out of state.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Whenever we're going to Tennessee, Florida, New York, PA, wherever we might be going, honestly, you're 100% right with that. And obviously you want to at least play more than those 3 games that you're guaranteed without a doubt, because that's when you end up, if you do lose, you gain that chip on your shoulder more and more, and you want to make that further run in the future the next time you come to Ohio or the next tournament you do play in, so that you're making your money's worth, that you're playing your at least 5-6 games and you're hanging out with the boys and you're having a hell of a time. But at the same time, though, you're enjoying it that much more because you're winning, because everybody loves to win. Nobody's coming down there this weekend to end up enjoying a loss and hanging out with friends. You still want to compete, you still want to hang out with friends, but you want to at least get a couple of W's though too.
yeah, nobody wants to go home over.
Exactly. And that even you could look at it from a player's perspective or a team perspective, even without a doubt. Nobody wants to go over.
No, yeah, I mean, but you got to make the best of every situation. Like I said, if you can't win on the field, win off the field. You know, win with the team by doing things that are gonna build chemistry and bring you guys closer together. Know your player better for your next weekend that's ahead.
Yep, without a doubt. And it's about that time, too, to end up figuring out what you have for the future this time of year, too. So makes sense, especially from a coaching perspective, Crazy Shorts. But at this time, we're going to end up having KJ talk about the D division. We got
I'm
KJ
Crazy Shorts' number 1 fan today.
Hey, what's up, buddy? Oh, I see you now on there. Oh, appreciate that.
Yeah, I want to go back to what you guys were talking about. How you said that you like that the weekend spread out. I fucking hate it. I need the losers. Sense. I need the losers to get out, and I need to find an easy parking spot when I try to find my field.
Hey, I understand about the parking spot thing though. And you know who else understands that too? Shout out to Andy. I got to give a shout out to him because he understands all about that parking spot situations down there for Liner.
Oh yeah.
God, traffic is terrible there for the Mojo. Anywhere outside of Verliner on the road to inside, all the way back to the fields in the 30s. It is just madness.
Yeah, whoever designed that needs to go somewhere.
That March
roads will converge into other roads.
Kidding me.
Well, they make the best of it, I guess.
But my teams to look out for in E is pretty similar to Adams. I like In the Cut. You know, they're always good. It's a good group of guys. Same with I Fix Ugly. I like I Fix Ugly. Is there any like new team? What's up with the soft serve team? They weren't in. I saw that they won last weekend or the weekend before.
That's a bunch of, I believe, like what's his name? Jeremy Dale. He's their pitcher, I believe. They got a bunch of guys like that. I can't remember offhand. I just remembered Jeremy.
And who was
Okay.
Headhunters? Headhunters were the old dirt rats, right? Or the
No,
the Dirty Birds or some shit like that.
something
One of
like
those
that.
teams.
They got like Brett. They got Brandon Evans. And,
Yep, that's the same one I'm talking about. Then, yep, we're on the same track.
Yep, they're going to be a little dangerous little team.
Yeah, I see that. They play really good. I
Yeah.
was watching I was on was it Jalen Crockett's live watching the games, and yeah, they're nice. They are a nice team.
And what was impressive to me is that they were banging out with 10 guys the whole time.
Yeah,
The whole time. Like that is
Yeah.
tough. That is very, very tough to make it to
Well, yeah.
Sunday with 10 guys. So
Without a doubt.
That's off to them, you know.
No
Man,
doubt.
I'm not wearing a hat, but hairline off to them. Shout out Kyle James, Hillbilly. I know he'll enjoy that one. But anyways, though, KJ, well, you guys obviously you don't start until Friday, then LD, right?
No, we play Thursday, 12:45.
Thursday, okay, afternoon.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And what?
Yeah, we got a team out of Illinois. First game, and then if we go on and win that, I think we play another team out of Illinois. So we'll see. And I think that's at 2:15.
How many D teams ended up going into Mojo this year? And I know obviously you guys are a first-year D team after winning last year.
It was over 100. It's not more than E, but it's like I would say like 15 or 20 less teams because you guys had like 130. I think we got like 120 or something, 115.
Sounds about right. I can't remember.
It's always close, like the numbers wise, when it comes to Mojo.
So who's your teams to look out for in D then, besides LD Premium?
Yeah, right. I don't really know that many. I didn't really pay attention to D like last year, and I've only played the one tournament at what was that? The Arctic War. There's this team named Grove Tucky. They're serious. They are serious.
They're pretty solid.
Obviously, the teams that were, that got bumped from, E to D. You got Dirt Rats. You got a couple Amish teams. You got, I can't remember who else. Oh, Smash Bros. And teams that had a decent years in E 2 years ago, like Big Fish when they won everything in E that 1 year, and Resistance and stuff like that. So it'll be fun. I think it's very competitive. It's going to be.
And I mean, going back to about like the whole entire aspect of Mojo, I mean that even not only no matter what the result is, but hanging out with the dudes, you end up having the ability to scout all these teams that you're going to end up playing this upcoming year, though, too, even the out-of-state teams. And, I mean, the best thing that I ended up learning from Mojo the first year I ended up playing in it was something so small, but it was watching a catcher follow up and run up the first base line to end up backing up a throw. And I'm like, oh, why does nobody end up following suit here? And that was me just being an observant. Okay, I played catcher. I play catcher from time to time. I should be backing that up. And obviously, there's always a time, though, in softball, and it's always going to happen. Laziness gets to you, and you don't want to end up running up that first base line. And that's probably why you don't see too many teams do it.
That is very true.
That's a lot of energy from a catcher.
Right, yeah.
I don't know what you expect from your catcher at that point. I mean, wow. Running to first every time? That is insane.
And Matt Andahar ended up commenting. He said, "Ask Crazy Shorts if Grove Tucky is the team we hit a walk-off on, and he tore his ACL at second base last year."
Oh, the Grammatica. I definitely did that. It was not Grove Tucky, but it was an Amish team, and I don't beat the Amish often. My record is, oh, man, it is way negative to the Amish. Let's just put it that way.
I think that was a force of, like, some kind of, oh, no, I don't even want to go there. Like they no.
Oh man, I was on.
Though for all that you ended up having a hatred towards the Amish, so they got you back.
It was like our fourth game of that tournament, and yeah, we walked off. I was on first base. The hit was a unanimous dong, like it was a clear dong. Soon as that puppy was midair, I jumped up, and soon as I landed, I wiggled and wobbled, and down I went, and that was the end of my day. So
you really tore your ACL like that?
I was out for. I had torn my ACL prior. I had like re-triggered it, so it took me out of the game for a little while. I was out for a good like month and a half after that happened, but
damn,
it was worth it. I still cherish that memory of beating the Amish for probably my third time in my whole life.
I mean, it's always good when you do, though.
It's tough, man. I feel like I'm more likely to win the lottery than to beat the Amish.
Facts.
They just got my number.
Matt added to it too and said we all celebrated and he was laying in the dirt at second base.
What happened to him?
He's just enjoying the moment on the ground. Let him be.
All around eating dirt. I'm done, boys. I'm done. Get me out of here.
I mean, honestly, though, I don't even want to bring this up, though, but it kind of goes hand in hand with the topic that we're talking about. What has been the worst injury while playing softball that you've ended up playing? Me, knock on wood, I haven't had anything, but I've ended up feeling a soreness in my hip enough times that I feel like I'm adding years by the day that goes on.
I tore my ACL in an indoor in Lorraine, an indoor tournament, and the turf monster just grabbed me and snapped me in half. So that was an ACL replacement. One time we were playing in Freedom, Georgia. Like, I don't know, man. That was probably like 9 years ago by now or something. But I took a shot to the collarbone, and it like snapped my collarbone off a grounder. It just bounced, hit me in the bone, and my arm just dropped.
Just got really relaxed really quick.
Huh?
Got really relaxed really quick, that arm.
Yeah. The umpires go, time. Your arm's broke. I'm like, yeah, that's all right, I'm like, I'm finishing this game. We came from Ohio, I'll get it fixed when we get back.
KJ, what about you?
I mean, knock on wood, I haven't really been hurt playing. You just twist your ankle or stuff like that. But I've been pretty lucky. Take a grounder off the chest, off the shoulder. Simple stuff. I haven't gotten hurt yet.
Well, you probably weigh 70 more pounds than I do, so that's why I get what I get. I'm all bones, man. That's my problem.
I don't think KJ is going to be able to bust out a cartwheel anytime soon, let alone a moonwalk. Well, maybe a moonwalk, but me, I'll probably fall on my ass doing a moonwalk.
I saw that moonwalk you hit, by the way.
Ooh. You gotta have fun. And it was cold, so I was just making the best of that.
Got to.
So going back, one of the topics from earlier on too, we were talking about TikTok and the game of softball going hand in hand with TikTok too. I mean, we kind of hit on this last week, I believe, with softball and live streaming games and having that ability. Well, also, this kind of leads to the next question with Mojo. Last year, we played a team, I think it was in like the Constellation bracket, and it was a team from Florida, and it was being live streamed. And that was one of those teams that once the cameras were rolling, it was all show for them. They wanted to put on a show. It was all fun and games. And like, has that ever happened to you guys at Mojo at any softball tournament that you end up having one of the games live streamed and you end up playing a team that just ends up deciding to turn up the show meter to +10?
No. The whole live thing is new or newer. for me.
Strands.
Yeah, no. I remember last year, was it Mojo? I think it was. It was Dirty Boys versus Hood Star. There was a bunch of
That was so good.
Oh man, pre-Mojo chirping like crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was so good.
Maybe
My
a
favorite
whole month.
post. My favorite post was Mikey Abar when he called them Clout Stars. Oh my god.
Oh, so it was juicy.
Yeah.
I remember that first game.
Yeah, because we were on that field after you guys.
Go ahead.
No, what I was saying was we were on that field playing. We were gonna play. Our game was right after your game on that field.
Okay.
So like we were watching it.
It was turned. It was yeah. I mean, it was going well, you know, but Hood Star was beating us, you know.
Yeah.
They pretty much walked away with it in like the sixth, and then, you know, it was just going downhill from that. A couple things were getting said that probably shouldn't have gotten said from both sides. And it wasn't just one side; it was definitely both sides. But sometimes competitiveness and being men, being alphas, it just gets out of hand sometimes. But
right,
it got rowdy. Yeah, it definitely got rowdy.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it went to the parking lot. I think it went to the parking lot twice, you know, multiple times. Like
it went and circled around. Essentially, that's how often it went to the parking lot.
And both teams were fully stacked. You know, at least like 17 guys on both sidelines, and then you had some. You had women getting involved. And,
I was gonna say you had baby moms with bats.
Yeah, it got rowdy, but I'm glad nothing crazy happened, and for most part everything got settled. And I believe even most people on both sides are kosher. You know, there's no beef or hate really towards anyone on both sides.
And what team was this?
Hope, at least on my side, it is what it is. You just gotta just move on, let things go.
And what team was that though?
That was Hood Star. Maybe their name was different last year.
No, it was definitely Hood Star.
Yeah,
and they were already based out of Ohio, anyways. I was confused for a second because I'm like, that didn't happen. I had it in my head that it was an out-of-state team too, which would have made it that much more compelling though too. If you ended up getting like a Kentucky team or something out there, PA, New York, and you end up having that much jawing going on too. Take that anger home with you too. Could you imagine?
Yeah, that'd be turned up. You said there was 200 people at that game. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was. That was
a lot of people.
Yeah, and it was only for the juice. It was nobody really cared about the softball aspect of it.
We didn't care about the game. We just wanted to be there.
Yeah, it started off in softball, and then it ended up more than that. Like I said, everything's kosher now.
And Matt added to, including directors and cops. Do you end up seeing that happening at all this upcoming year? I don't think that's going to end up happening. Maybe in the upper divisions, maybe in D or C, or obviously not conference. I don't think it'll go there. But do you think you end up having chirping the next couple of days between two teams before Mojo, like in years past? Or I mean, it seems like
I see it now. Right now on my live feed, there's chirping. I'm not going to say who. I don't want to start any problems. I don't want to put anyone on blast or anything, but it's going down right now as we speak.
I want you to say who.
No. They'll do the talking. You'll see it eventually. It's gonna. I feel like it for at least one team in particular. It's going to be that Dirty Boys versus Hood Star Mojo rematch type of deal. We'll see if it pans out.
And what field do you guys play at again?
They're upper. They're upper. They're not an E team either. I will leave the suspense.
Man, you can't leave. That's a scary movie type suspense you're leaving on us.
Even it.
Man,
you'll see. Stay tuned in Mojo and follow our podcast for more.
At the We Like Softball podcast.
Yeah, man.
Crazy
Solid.
Shorts knows what he's doing.
Yeah, you got to
He's
build it
killing
up.
the ads.
Got to build it up.
But, I mean, I'm trying to think anything else Mojo related outside of the weather. Obviously, the weather's going to be shit, and we already hit on that, and that's going to be the disappointing part. I mean, you get these new teams. You don't end up running into too much Amish teams in the E division, at least. But is there for sure going to be on Championship Sunday the teams that you ended up looking out for, Adam, like the iFix Uglies, like the Cleveland Knights, like your New Religions, Novas? Do you think that I think that that's going to end up being Ohio heavy? And I guess this is a question for KJ. Would you end up thinking for either E and both D, since obviously you could been a part of both and you've been along the journey for both E and D? Do you think that when it comes to the tournament that you're going to end up seeing more Ohio heavy type teams on Championship Sunday?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the tournament is in Central Ohio, so you got to think 80% of the teams are from Ohio. So when you play a percentages game, I mean, because I think you're saying what Championship Sunday, like how many Ohio teams are we going to see?
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to say last year, I think it was either like 18 or 20 teams made it to Sunday. And I mean, there were a couple Michigan teams, like they're pretty decent, the pretty decent teams. I think it was like a Murder Mitten, like Bum Squad, a couple other teams, and then but most of them were Ohio teams. Like, like I would say like 12 to 15 out of the 20 teams that were left were Ohio teams.
Yeah.
In Ohio, like I think RLN won Mojo last year. They played Charm Builders, so the top two teams were Ohio teams, and then Young Money won Mojo for D last year, so that's an Ohio team, and I think they beat the Hornets, so that's two. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Did RLN become Hustles Free then in D this year? Is that what they ended up
I
changing
don't
to?
know. So we played Hustles Free at the Arctic War a couple weeks ago, and some guys from RLN is on that team, but it's not their whole team though. It's not like the regular RLN that they have been for the past year or two.
And I mean, obviously, like we ended up talking about earlier on, that a couple of teams obviously changed the names, but like also, I guess another question for at least in E, I don't see anything from Macho Man and John Martin. I don't think John has a team in at all. I didn't see them at all in any of the brackets. Did you at all?
No. Macho Man's in the bracket. I was looking earlier.
Oh, wow. I completely skipped right over it then. I was looking for him and I couldn't find him.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, if it's the same one, there's a Macho Man.
Yeah, I've seen a Macho Man. Yeah, I don't know.
What? I didn't catch. When do you guys play? On Thursday.
He's at 9, and I'm at 10:10.
He's at 9. I like that, Matt.
I gotta pick for a second. Each journey, put $20 on it. Yeah, that's what we were talking about last week. Over under.
Be the sponsorship guy for this podcast. End up getting him. Send an email for us. Help us out.
I'm gonna need to know Matt Andajar's over on Dong's hit this weekend. Are you playing this weekend, Matt?
Is he not running with y'all?
No, he's with Matt Andajar is with Yank D's.
Okay.
Which they're not. I know that they're not signed up for Mojo, but I know most of their team, most of their players, and they should be pretty solid when they have all their starters available that day. They should be pretty good. But I know that most of their team right now is having babies and stuff. They got the baby fever, so I think they're out till.
What was going on 9 months ago?
It's like 3 of them at the same time too. I'm like, damn. But yeah, so they'll make it later on, and I think that they're going to be a very competitive team later on.
I mean, another question related to Mojo then too, because it kind of makes sense with teams not being able to make it in because, like you said, personal lives, you end up having kids, you end up having work, whatever. How in the past for Mojo, that used to not be a 4-day thing and start on a Thursday. You were kind of hinting at, right? Crazy Shorts.
What? Can you repeat that?
So for Mojo, it hasn't always started on a Thursday. It's been more of like a weekend thing in the past, probably when it started.
Friday night usually.
So
a lot of the issue back then was, I don't know if they just said fuck it over the years, and because there's so many more teams, you can only But I thought it's hard for people to take off work Thursday and Friday. I don't care for softball. That's a lot to take on. Like, that's, like, all right, do I want to use my days for softball? Like, is that even debatable? I got to use a holiday pay or vacation day or, whatever you got to do but that's 2 days off, Thursday and Friday. And if you make it to Sunday late, do you want to work on Monday after 4 days of hardcore? Yep. I mean, if you made it to Sunday, if in the losers division, you play 10 games. You know what I mean? So it's like, at that point, you're taking off Monday too. So it's just like, where do you draw the line at calling these days off? Like, I guess started Thursday night, but having people Thursday morning starts is tough. It's tough. But there's so many teams, it's like you have no choice. So, I mean, I understand both sides.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, how much of that is a factor, too, for at least for Mojo to end up starting off the year and figuring it out what you're going forward with and what your team has is you run into work. So how much of that is an issue and you end up having a tournament that starts on a Thursday, you play on Friday? I mean, you've had guys in the past drive to and then go to work, or drive to and then come back home and then drive back to Columbus. And I mean, that's 2 hours away if you end up living in Cleveland, Lorain, Sandusky area. I mean, it's all roughly 2 hours that you're driving away and back in 4 hours on the road in one day.
Yeah, that's why I usually just get a hotel or a B&B or whatever. You just that whole drive in 2 hours is silly to me, especially if you leave late at night and then you play early in the morning. That's just silly. It can't be worth it.
And that's what Dub was saying too, is he said that's why I started at OnlyFans.
You couldn't pay me to watch Dub Howard on OnlyFans.
You're definitely peeping it once in a while.
Oh my God.
I'm already subscribed.
You're already subscribed. You already made your first and last month's payments.
Say something, KJ, from Andy.
I've been talking. What do you mean?
So what's anything special going on with LV over the Mojo weekend? You guys got any cool plans? You gonna meet up anywhere, play some arcade games, or you're gonna have a special batting practice?
I don't know. Everyone kind of seems like they're doing their own thing. Like when it comes to hotels. Well, I know last year for the weekender, I think everyone but like 3 people, we like found we found like a Airbnb. I can't remember where it was at, but it slept like 15 of us. So LD's gay. Oh my God. But yeah, it slept like 15 of us. So that was like super cool. So we stayed there for the weekender, and it was super funny. I don't know if you guys remember Fat Boys, the team Fat Boys.
Yeah, they're not this year either, are they? I haven't seen them at all.
I have no idea. But they were in the room, not the room, but they were in the Airbnb right next door to us. So that was like super fun.
Uh-huh.
And we ended up playing them. And we ended up playing them game 1 at the weekender last year.
How was that night? That night before the game,
college campus type atmosphere.
I got there late. So I got there like late at night. So everyone was like sleeping when I got there. But the day after, I don't want to throw any shade, but the day after we beat them, it was crickets over there.
Yeah, it's hard to talk shit when you took an L.
For sure. But they're cool guys. I like those guys too.
You guys got all hands on deck for this weekend, or are you gonna be missing a few guys?
So the last time I heard, it's Spank's birthday. I don't know, Big Spank,
Big
right?
Spank. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's Spank's birthday, so he's only going to be there Thursday. So, hopefully, we can be cool with, without him and stuff like that. I don't know. You know who Marcel Geis?
Yep. Absolutely.
So we picked him up over the off season, and I think he won't be there on Thursday, but he'll be there the rest of the week. But other than that, I think everybody's there. I think Bone said he's gonna be there.
Oh my, Bone.
Yeah.
That's my guy.
I think Bear said he was gonna be there too.
I gotta come watch all the. Is Bear coming?
He said he was.
Joseph Barrett coming?
He said he was. So we'll see.
What about Harper? What about good old Mike Harper?
Oh man, so he's still recovering from breaking his foot at Worlds last year. Yeah, that sucked, man. That dude's a gamer, man. I love that dude. No, he's fine. I saw him a couple weeks ago at D-Bat. He came up to hit, and he was like moving. He was swinging. He looks good. Like he looks ready, but I think he's just gonna take his time on it. I mean, and why would you? You know what I mean? Like it's softball, dude. At the end of the day, it's just it's a game.
Have fun with your friends. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I mean it's not serious.
Yeah, easier said than done. You're standing there watching your homies. Next thing you know, they're sucking, and you just were like, "Give me that bat. I'll show you how to do it."
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I think you end up seeing these athletes like NBA, MLB, anything along that side. That like, if you have an off day, they're not dressed because if they're dressed, they're gonna be like, "All right, coach, let me in for one plate appearance. Let me run. Let me do this. Let me do that. Just give me one chance." Like I've been so quiet, I haven't said a damn word. Let me play at least once. And the coach is gonna be like, "Yeah, you're right. You haven't said shit, so go on."
That is true.
Yeah.
What so you said you guys play at 9, so like 9 and 9-10?
9 for me, and then 10-10 for Crazy.
Oh, 10-10. What fields are you guys on?
I think I'm on field 21, maybe, or 20. One of the two.
I smoke way too much. I would have to. I gotta check that shit on the drive in. You know what I'm saying? Thursday morning. What damn field we at?
Well, it was 11.
God damn it.
That's funny. I'm gonna try to check you guys out. I'm driving down Thursday morning. I think I'm gonna leave at like 8 o'clock, 8:30.
Well, you might be missing me then.
Yeah, I see that.
Catch your second game.
Yeah, who do you guys play? That's what I was going to ask next.
We play a team out of Kentucky. I know that much. I forgot what the team name is, but I want to say it's Kentucky. I'll get back to you on that right now. Let me check the bracket. Let me use technology. I'll be right back.
We play a team out of PA. I did a little snooping around on the roster, and I was least impressed.
Really?
Not impressed at all. If you're watching this, we're going to bust your nuts so hard. Ooh, you might as well stay in PA. Take the L. First game. Come holler at us. Come see us around 8 o'clock later on.
What did I miss? Hold on, rewind it. I just missed the shit talking, but I'm field 20 on Kentucky Ohana, and Ohana means family, or Oana, or whatever that Disney.
Hey, that team is good.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, honestly,
they're good.
And they're out of state too. They're a tough team. 9 a.m. start too. That's one of the first 2 games I think to end up kicking off the day. Probably that's where it would be.
I want to say that they were there Sunday. They placed. I want to say they placed top 10 last year. If it's the same team.
So I'm gonna do the opposite of Crazy Shorts, and I did a little bit of scouting, but I just looked at the age perspective. They got probably like 1 or 2 veteran players. And by veteran, I mean, I'm talking they got 2 guys that are like 50 plus years old, which they're going to be those solid veteran guys, coaches that you need on that team. And the rest of them, I think, are all Class E. So it's not like they end up having any D guys or anybody that appealed down, at least offhand from what they showed on the roster. But a bunch of E guys in their mid-20s or so. They got a young team without a doubt. That's what I saw when I ended up seeing them outside of their 2 veteran coaches.
Okay.
And that's again on paper, though.
I know my Wahoos are going to come out with the victory. They didn't do so well last 2 weekends ago, but this weekend they come out on top. Mark my words.
I agree.
Honestly, Cardiac Kid's the same thing, though, too. I'm a really big fan of the analysis from their one pitcher. Really great guy. And shout out to him. And
you must be talking about Travers.
Cardiac Kids.
Talking about Travers, right?
What's that?
You must be talking about Travers. Jake Travers?
Oh,
Travers.
I didn't know I was talking about Jake, but I might have been. That might have been that kind of secret code I was using.
I gotta teach that man how to dance.
I don't think he's gonna.
Just don't stop the ball with your helmet, and that's making progress. Jake. That's my boy. He did a hell of a job last 2 weeks ago.
Matt, I was about to say, man, the roster's locked at 3. You better hop on somewhere.
3 when? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Oh boy.
Got to make that free agent post.
Yeah. But I was checking the team. That we play. So check this out, right? So I was checking the team that we play. They have 8 guys on their roster right now. Yeah.
That might not. I mean, hey, check tomorrow at 3:01.
That's what I'm gonna do.
And then check. I don't know. Are they doing that the ID, that little blue ID card thing next to your roster name? Are they?
Do you have to do that? I just refuse to submit my ID. You know what I mean?
You have to do it sooner or later. They're gonna make that to where if that little card, that little blue thing ain't next to your name on the roster, then you're not gonna be valid. It's like you're not even on the roster. I don't know when they'll put that into effect, but they said the system still had a couple like defaults or defects because when in March Madness, Bill Walters was running it and we were 2-0 and we were all out to eat and we did a roster check on the team we played and same situation. They had like 14 guys on the roster, but only like 8 guys with that little blue icon. So I called Bill Walters, so the whole team's like, oh yeah, we're running that. Everyone's like, we'll throw down the $100. We're protesting that. And I'm like, well, let me call Bill. Let's see who's running this show. Let's talk to him. And he was like, well, we're having defaults with that. So.
And wasn't that app supposed to be?
What he told me, what I was told was that we could protest it, but if their players have their IDs on them and their names are on that roster, then we would lose the protest.
So if they end up checking their person and have the ID on them, that would be their virtual ID then that they ended up posting, essentially, is what they're saying.
Right. And that might have just been for the March Madness. I'm not 100% sure on Mojo if they inflicted that rule or not. We should
do you
find out about it.
You got to think how many teams and their players that don't have the ID on the, you know what I mean? Like out of
the One Nation ID we're talking about with the scan code and shit.
No, I'm talking because earlier in the year I saw the thing where you had to like upload not a fax, like a picture of your ID, like your driver's license.
Yes.
So if they were to like enforce that, especially now, I mean, there's what, like 450 teams across the board. Like, imagine how many people don't have their ID on the thing.
Right, and
because they even made a post on it, and there was like hundreds of people commenting, like, dude, I'm not putting I don't want people to know where I live. Like, I'm not putting my ID like on my thing. Which, I mean, sounds a little crazy, but
I don't think it shows the ID. It just shows that
you're like verified.
Yeah,
they submitted it.
Okay. Okay.
But at the
Because
same
Well,
time,
yeah,
though,
that's
if I go to Payton's name on One Nation and I click it, it's just going to show me like his previous teams or how long he's been. I'm pretty sure it's not going to show like his ID. The only ones that would have that are like the directors. They probably have the power to, and that's to check the rosters for protest reasons. You know what I mean? If your team gets protested, then they're going to need to make sure whatever ID matches with the ID on file is my guess. I don't know. I could be totally wrong.
are they also
Yeah,
doing
I have no
ID
idea.
picture and the One Nation picture then too, and matching them up that way? Like you end up having that ID picture, and then you end up having the other picture on the website.
mean-
You're like, okay, that kind of looks like this guy that's called
Right.
Bill, for example.
Right. Yep.
I guess that makes sense. Like last year, I mean, like our guys, I mean, we did like memes for our like profile pictures on, it like none of us had like our actual like faces on our picture. It was just like funny memes.
Yeah, and they're buckling down on that. They're trying to at least. But I mean, if you got a faulty system, then it does you no good.
Yeah. And then
They were
the new
also-
go ahead, P.
They were talking about whatever for like statistics too for this year too. Like that was the whole sense
Yeah, I
of
was
the
gonna say
upgrade
that.
in the app and everything. And like that's on hold too now, apparently, like with that ID thing, I'm assuming. Would you end up
There's
doing
no
anything?
way. There's just no way that they're keeping stats. There's just no way. They can't.
It's
they
a cool
can't do that.
concept, but there's no
Yeah.
way you could do that like this weekend when you have 400 plus teams. How are you going to keep
Yeah.
up with that and trust
Only
whoever's
way
booked?
that's feasible is if you have a One Nation person keeping like a scorebook, like they used to do at League. There would be
like a scorekeeper, a designated
yeah.
scorekeeper.
That's the only way that you could do that is you'd have to have a scorekeeper just like an umpire. On every field that there's an umpire, there'd have to be a scorekeeper to go along with that.
See, and I would just rather One Nation just pay the extra money to have 2 umpires on every field. I don't
Right.
need you to keep track of my stats. Like at least for us, we have a stat keeper. Like we have somebody that keeps book. Token's wife, actually, I gotta give a shout out to Cherie. She's wonderful, and she also like has a website with like Excel, so you can like look at everybody's batting average, and then it's like filtered off for like every tournament and stuff like that. So how'd you do in Mojo? How'd you do in the weekend? Or how'd you do at States and stuff like that? So that's like super cool. But I don't need One Nation to keep my stats. I don't.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah, I'd agree too. I mean, it's a cool concept, but there's no way. And also, your tournament fees are going to end up going up then too because you're paying for the umpires, you're paying for game, you're paying for the scorekeeper. Now, I mean, look at legal, like you were saying, you have scorekeepers, but you're paying umpires, scorekeepers for a league out in Strongsville. Essentially, that's the first one I think of immediately, and that's $62 for a team for 1 week. And you split that up amongst your guys. And going back to what we were saying before, you hope that somebody has cash because everybody's Cash App on the spot or Venmo on the spot.
Yeah. And we're scraping change for just balls. And balls are a necessity. And you want to bring a scorekeeper and all this into
Right.
it?
Yeah.
Nah,
I mean,
it
it already costs what, $450, $500 a team for
Yeah.
Mojo, like all these majors tournaments.
Yeah.
I mean,
But,
then it costs a
that's-
Super Bowl board to pay for Mojo.
Yeah. Alone. Yep.
Right. I saw Matt comment a couple times, and we were talking. And can you pull those up?
I don't know. Can you?
Yeah, Cedar Creek is deep, Matt. They are. Deep.
Yes, I have
They
them.
should
I
be
have a little
C.
list too. I have a little D list. Let's see.
Let me run.
All right, we got Public Enemy. I know they ain't going to be no hoes. They're going to come to place the ball. I don't know what roster moves they made, but Jeremy and them, they know what they're doing. Dirt Rats, Cedar Creek, Team Jose. Team Jose's a sneaky one.
Team Jose made a good run during March Madness, didn't they? If I saw or remember correctly, they ended up making a decent run.
Yeah.
Who's Team Jose? I've never heard of them.
That's Rivas and them.
Who's that?
Alex Rivas. They're out towards like the Toledo way.
Rebus. He be playing at VSP sometimes, right?
Probably. I would assume.
I think I've seen that name.
Yeah, he's last year when the Dirty Boys started off in D, he was with us.
Okay.
And that last
Okay,
play.
I remember him now. I remember the name now.
Yep, he's a younger guy. Hits the ball hard. He plays anywhere. He's a good ball player.
Right.
Ain't too much I can say bad about him. Then I got Sandlot Boys. Same thing. Sandlot Boys always been around. They've been doing things. So I don't know rosters. I don't know who they got this year and what moves they made. But yeah, shout out to George and them.
Big facts.
C&M Transport. Same thing. We're talking about OGs right there. Them boys don't.
I think C&M in the D division, I saw it was C&M Transport / Rogue. And if C&M Transport and Rogue combined, that's dangerous.
Dangerous.
That is dangerous.
I don't know if it's the same. I haven't roster checked, so I don't know exactly who they got, but they're a team that's been doing it for a while. So I feel like it ain't gonna be hard for them to gel.
And I mean, you also have what? And do you have Hornets and Swarm BBQ or whatever? Is that also? I didn't know. I cut out for a second, but did you guys?
The Hornets are in C. They got bumped.
What about the one that was in? I think they were D last year. It wasn't Hornets and Swarm, a combination. Is that the same one as Hornets, Swarm, and whatever? And they went up to C.
No, Swarm was in E. They got bumped. They're in D now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's a bunch of Akron boys.
Yeah. They got some new guys.
They're a good team.
Yeah. Then we got Slim and Chubbies. I know them boys they're coming to play too.
They mash, dude.
Yeah. And
they got a couple of guys from the old Stampede team too.
Yeah, so they should do fairly decent. I see them at least making it to Saturday. But you never know. This rain plays a huge factor. It changes everyone's gameplay.
You think there's any likelihood that there's going to be a delay that throws off everything, or they're going to just try to get everything in possible?
It's the night games is what you have to worry about. Really, it depends. Like once you're scheduled for like a 9 o'clock game and it's dumping raining, they might just say fuck it, cancel it, and pick up. And they might start the next morning earlier.
That's what sucks, though, is you get the one pitch shit if you're in a constellation bracket. That's why you don't want to play in any of that, is you end up getting bumped to all these ruleless games. You end up playing a constellation bracket, but you get one pitched because of the rain and because of the weather. And you're like, all right, do we want to move on and play one pitch per at bat, or do we want to end up playing a full game and we should have just stayed in the winners or losers bracket and competed? That's the frustration with the weather.
Yeah, that's what it boils down to. Shouldn't have lost.
Yeah. Man, that umpire sucks. We shouldn't have lost.
Yeah. Stupid bat.
Yeah.
Stupid bat. Stupid glove.
And of course, I got my boys LD on that list.
My guy.
We got Bad News Bears. They are a feisty gang, that's for sure. Feisty, and they're going to be looking good in their KTK jerseys. I know that. Ferda Boys, same thing.
Yep.
They've been doing it for a little while. I don't know what ads they got and who they lost, but
they're a local team, though. They're out of Columbus.
Yep, they've been doing it for a while.
In their backyard, that home field advantage, that weather might be to the benefit of them. We got to make it like a big game broadcast for them. That weather in their backyard, they might end up having the sunshine while we all have the tsunami, ladies and gents.
Charm Builders, Big Fish. They tend to get the job done sometimes, and they're rowdy. They're ready to go. They're fired up. I see on Facebook, every one of them. They're ready to go. They're ready to play yesterday. Then you got the boys, Resistance, and then Juice out of Michigan. Can't sleep on them either.
Those are some good teams.
That's just my little glanced over.
Those are some good teams. What do you got? What you got? 10 right there? I don't even know if I can name 10, dude.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That was 15.
Yeah, way more.
And I feel like they could all be in the top 15.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Any order. That's real.
Yeah.
He's going to be.
I don't even know who I
He's
would.
tough this year. That's for sure. I mean, he's tough every year, but I feel like there ain't no Amish in E, so where'd they go?
Yeah.
I mean, there's gonna be they pop out, dude. They pop out everywhere. There'll be an Amish.
I'm sure we'll get a fresh pair of 15-year-olds. All right,
Yeah,
come June.
Well,
Where the hell these guys come from?
We probably won't be ended up interviewing any 15-year-old Amish players, but if you guys end up running into Crazy Shorts or myself or KJ, if you even end up having the time at all, if you guys want to end up having like a quick YouTube segment for the We Like Sports podcast, the softball edition, feel free to hit up Crazy Shorts or I and chat a little bit about the games and talk about what the future holds for that game and have that posted that night of going into Friday or whatever that ends up working out for that sports network type of vibe.
My guy Lamar, man.
What's up, Em?
My guy.
Jesus. The one I want to interview is, I believe he stopped playing softball. Do you guys remember Little Ben from the Hornets?
Mm-mm.
He was. I think he played D with them. They were in E, and then they were slapping everybody. They got bumped to D, and they were making a little noise there. But he was probably their smallest guy, and he played third base. This little dude, man, unbelievable player. Your biggest guy, your whole team could just hit at him, and he will not miss one. You know what I mean? And if he missed one, you were going, the whole team, it was that you won a ring or something for him missing a ball. He hit, and he was just fast as lightning, that boy. And I was told that he stopped playing. I can't remember his last name right now because I didn't see him all last year, but it was Ben. We all called him Little Ben. I'm sure someone's going to get on here and comment. I know y'all know. Ben from Hornets. He was a dog.
And whatever happened
to interview him. Bring back Ben. I want to interview him. Little Ben.
Whatever happened to that Frogtown team that was in E2? They ended up wearing, I think, maroon gear as well last year, and I didn't see them in E, at least when I also didn't see Macho Man, and I obviously am blind and didn't see that when I scrolled through before, so take that for what you want for a resource, but I didn't see Frogtown or whatever. They have like a 2-part name as well, but we ended up running into them at one point too on the team I was on last year.
I remember Frogtown. I didn't really look through the E bracket all like that. I'm gonna look tonight though.
We appreciate that. We appreciate you following us and.
Yeah, no, I want to, like, I'm always that guy where it's like, I'm always looking at the bracket and then I'm like, oh, if we win this game, we might be able to play these guys this game and, all this and that. So I'm always the guy that's looking ahead. And then you got, Trev and all the other guys. It's like, let's just win this game, man. Stop looking ahead.
It's always that Always Sunny in Philadelphia like meme when you end up having all the lines to all the different ways and routes to get there, and that's your way of looking at the bracket.
Exactly.
But yeah, honestly though, I mean, outside of the shit weather we have ahead Thursday through Sunday, outside of that, I think we could say that this upcoming weekend, it's going to be fun. We're all going to end up probably watching some type of softball in some capacity when that weather has the nice breaks in it outside, seeing all of our buddies once again. I'm excited for that. Hopefully the rain, I mean, it's Ohio. Hopefully within the next 2 days, it just all disappears. Hopefully it doesn't come around whatsoever. That'd be the best case scenario. Give me 70 to 60 to 50 degrees with no rain. I'll be one happy dude.
Yeah. I agree. I want to do. Let's do a We Like Sports down in Mojo. Let's do it.
We might have to. I don't know how late at night, but if we end up going live and we end up just having other people that are watching it and just be like, hey, if you guys want to go on, hop on and BS. Let's
do it. Let's migrate to a hotel room and film a pod.
I'm sure we can make it happen.
That could be a lot of fun. If not, I mean, I know we could get 10 people in this room, but that's about it. That's my max. That's my COVID capacity right there.
COVID. Oh man, what if we all wear masks?
Matt said Aller needs to. His lives, man, be killing me, dude. Oh my!
And I tell him, I said, I don't know why you do this to us. You know,
Yeah.
you don't want to go back and watch your video.
The one game,
and now you gotta do it backwards.
Didn't you guys win on a walk-off home run and like it's facing the other way? Like I'm somebody was like, "Oh, I think you posted, Adam." I'm like,
yeah,
just won on a walk-off home run. I'm like, sweet, dude. I know somebody had to have been live, and it was Aller, and I'm like watching it, and I'm like, dude, I'm watching nobody sit in the bleachers.
And it was, yeah.
I'm like, what? Like, what is going on, man?
Hey, to his defense, though, I've been on plenty of teams that end up trying to get the live, and I'm always the one that always got stuck with the responsibility, and I'm hoping not as often this year. But it's always, you're in a rush.
Go backwards once, no one will ask you again.
You just point it to the other way. The other way.
You got my hit backwards?
Yeah, I made sure you hit it backwards too at the same time.
Yeah, I'm like, dudes are running the third base, like, because thankfully, Aller, him and a couple other guys, they played with us down in Myrtle, and I'm like trying to watch these games, and it's like guy hits the ball and he's like running the third base. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
What kind of T-ball bullshit is this?
Yeah.
At first, I thought it was an accident, but it's like 8 times in a row now. I'm pretty sure it's on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just doing it. He's just trolling.
Hey, it's either somebody else does the live or else he does it the easy way. And I think he's doing it the easy way until somebody like Crazy Shorts or one of the Krosniak boys end up stepping up, maybe.
I pay for Live Barn, we got that. So done with his shenanigans.
Yeah.
You get the better views.
And then he uses my Live Barn too at that. So it's like,
man,
how dare you use my Live Barn because you went backwards.
Cameras on every field, man.
Yeah, I think that's dumb that you like the first 10 fields don't have it or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't like that either. I think that's, if we're paying this much money for these tournaments and they're going to charge us $5 to get in, you better be putting cameras on every field that work. That I don't want to go to try to watch a game and then I can't click on it because the camera's out. That makes me so right. And then I'm paying for this Live Barn.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Even if it's $20 a month, whatever the fuck. Get your shit together, Live Barn. Furline, Barn, Columbus. Get your freaking cameras together.
Do you think so? Like, for me personally, I like, when you go to Berliner, you pay the $5, and you're paying for a nice facility, right? So you got 40 fields, full of turf. You got a decent concession stand. You got bathrooms all over the place. Blah blah blah. What bothers me the most is guys like us. We're kind of like local Lorain County guys. When I go to VSP and I pay $3.
Yep.
For VSP, and I'm playing on concrete dirt,
or you have a spigot in the outfield that you're tripping over, which I know somebody's done that before and they've been pissed off at VSP.
I'm highly offended because I pay $2 more and I'm playing.
But
on
they
turf.
have Live Barn now though at VSP, so that's okay.
Yeah, I don't care. It's like, dude, you guys collect so much money, and it's like you refuse to do anything. At least on a hot summer day, in the middle of summer for league, put a little water down so it's not concrete or more dirt. I don't know. There's always been rumors that they're getting turf, but I highly doubt it.
I feel like that's been every year since I've been around in 2020. I've heard that every year that turf and the cameras were a shock last year, but they actually happened. But they also have 6 fields too, so 6 cameras on 6 fields. It's not that complicated. We're doing 3 cameras for a podcast right now, and we just have our phones. So cool.
Yeah,
right.
Aren't the soccer fields turf there now at VSP?
Yeah, so we paid for something, but it doesn't benefit us by anything.
Well, it's just. At least you see motion, I guess. At least our $3 Don't forget, on the weekends, it's 5.
5. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It is.
About that.
That is true.
Yeah, almost
Wait,
doubling up for no reason.
Well, that's
Hey,
what,
are
April
any of
1st?
you guys guilty of this? You This might be me because I'm a cheapskate, right? So, and I'm a scumbag. So I
Hey,
go.
we're live, pal.
Yeah.
Ah,
So, do you guys save your Verliner tickets? So, like, if it's on the same, if you have like a green one and it's on a green day, do you save? Like, I do. I saved. I've been to Berliner probably like 15 times in the past like 2 years. I save them all. So it's like I text my buddy that's already in the field, like, yo, is it a white day or a blue day?
Yep.
And
Hey, but I found out this year, though, it's going to be more complicated, though, because they got a stamp on it for this year.
do they really?
Yeah, because I ended up, the guy that showed me that, too, and I don't want to say any names, but the guy that told me about that, I was usually his source, too. So I was always going to be like, hey, it's this day. And then I took a picture of it this past year, and I go, I don't think you're going to be able to do that this year because they have the year on it, and it said 2023, whatever color it was. But yeah, so you try it if you like.
Would they be able to see it from inside their little booth?
That's what I'm saying. And if you have like
You
10
can just
on your
kind of like
card,
give
you just see
people a
the
flash,
color.
like, here it is, here it is. Put it away real quick.
Right.
I got it right here.
We'll see.
We'll
see.
find out Thursday morning, fellas, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And if they're
We just
listening
gotta
to
find
this
a back
before-
way in. Someone's gotta go back in the woods back there and we'll figure out a path. Clear it out. Let everyone in through the back way.
That shit's funny.
Well, before we end up heading out, though, guys, for the We Like Softball podcast, again, Mojo this Thursday morning, Crazy Shorts and myself, Adam and Payton are both starting off 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. But Matt ended up wanting to know if we have a discount code for the We Like Softball podcast for a live bound account, possibly. Crazy Shorts. He asked me what your password was, but I'm going a discount code for anybody that's listening that wants to watch.
That boy Matt works at the steel mill. He better buy his own damn live barn.
And also, shout out to
Matt.
Matt, too. He ended up saying FVSP, but I'll be there for league.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm still going to show up.
Oh, yeah.
One last comment by Matt before we leave.
He said, I'm
poo. Okay. Well, shout out to the future for this podcast. Next week's episode, we'll have a special guest, Big John Williams.
Yeah.
He has a lot to say about softball, and he is looking forward to next week, and we are looking forward to having him as well. So everyone, make sure to tune in for episode 3 next week.
Yeah,
After the
absolutely.
Mojo talk and some Big John Williams.
And we'll probably be doing that from 7 to 8 o'clock next week. We'll end up checking with John, though, as well. We could do 6:30 to 8 again, but for sure 7 to 8 o'clock next Tuesday, the We Like Softball podcast with John Williams. If you guys didn't know your research on him, do your research. He's a conference player. He's a hell of an athlete, hell of a shortstop, and a great hitter. And, I mean, he's probably all at one point helped us out with our swing one way or another, if we're being honest.
Yep.
Yeah, very humble guy.
Extremely, without a doubt. But, guys, thank you for tuning in to the We Like Softball podcast. For Crazy Shorts, for KJ, for myself, Payton, make sure to listen to us on all podcasting platforms. This will be out Wednesday morning at 8 a.m., the day before you end up heading down to Berliner, or the morning before you end up heading down to Berliner, at We Like Sportz PC on Twitter, WeLikeSportsPC.com. If you have any interest in writing any articles for softball this weekend, message me personally, Payton Vince on Facebook, write it up for the website. Have some fun with it. If you want to be involved with it, we can have a lot of fun this weekend. Give us a follow, and we'll run into you guys probably on Thursday in the rain. Stay warm. Don't get wet. We're all adults, though. Don't bring an umbrella.
Follow,
Right. Well,
like,
and good
share,
luck.
subscribe.
Yeah, and good luck to everybody.
And be safe. Be safe.
Yeah, good luck to everybody except for when we're playing you.
Right.
And we'll see you guys next Tuesday with Big John Williams. KJ, Crazy Shorts. Guys, thank you, and we'll see you next week.
See y'all.